Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we will talk about the first new moon of 2024. That is the new moon in Capricorn of January 11th. In fact, as you can see in this picture, we are now in the first sign of the winter season, a season which is ruled by the archangel of the moon, Archangel Gabriel. Now, this is the chart. So first of all, let's take a look at the last changes in the sky. On December 29, Venus enters Sagittarius, starting a mutual reception with Jupiter, Lord of Sagittarius, which, as you can see, is in Taurus, a sign ruled by Venus. On top of that, on December 13, Jupiter turned direct, as did Mercury. Here it is. On January 2nd, Mercury turned direct, and it is still in Sagittarius. Now, finally, on January 4, Mars entered Capricorn, the zodiac sign of its exaltation, so we have a very strong Mars in the chart. Now, this is, of course, a new moon, meaning that it represents the beginning of the process of manifestation of the etheric forces, which gradually increase with the waxing moon up to the full moon. And in this sense, the new moon is like a seed, and it is a good time to sow, to start new things. And this moon in particular is certainly a very strong-willed moon. And in fact, the chart presents a lot of earth element, as you can see. And on top of that, many harmonious aspects. So this manifestation process will reach its culmination with the next full moon on January 25 in Aquarius. Now, as you can see, the sun and the moon are located here at 20 degrees 44 of Capricorn in the starry image of Sagittarius. And sun and moon, as you can see, they are in conjunction with Pluto, and we know Pluto is about to enter Aquarius on January 21st. And sun and moon, as you can see, they're making a very narrow trine with Uranus as well, Uranus in Taurus. Now, being in Capricorn, the Sigizzi is, of course, ruled by Saturn. Saturn, we know that, it is in Pisces, but in particular this time, Saturn is located at 4 degrees 13 Pisces, and it is in very close conjunction with a special star, Fomalhaut, that is located at 4 degrees 11. So 413, 411, super close conjunction. And Fomalhaut is one of the 4 royal stars of ancient Persia, and it is a very interesting star because it was regarded as the guardian of the south, and it was associated with Archangel Gabriel. And on top of that, we've just mentioned that Gabriel is the ruler of winter season, so we're going to explore this meaning as well. Now, as you can see, Saturn is closing Mars and Jupiter in a special configuration which is called a minor grand trine. So we have a trine between Jupiter and Mars, and as you can see, it is closed by Saturn with 2 sextiles in this very harmonious configuration. So a sextile with Mars is something very useful for this Saturn, especially because Mars, being in Capricorn, is ruled by Saturn itself. And as we mentioned, it is a very strong Mars. And the sextile with Jupiter in Taurus can be very useful as well, because Jupiter in Taurus is all about abundance. And as you can see, this time is Jupiter to rule Saturn. So we have Saturn ruling Mars and Saturn ruled by Jupiter. So they are actually working very nicely together. Now, let's delve deep into the meanings represented by this chart, of course, starting with the physical meanings, because the chart represents in this regard a very intense new start for the new year. And in fact, this new moon is very instinctive given the conjunction with Pluto, but also very hasty because the new moon is making this trine with Uranus, which in Taurus really wants to concretely manifest a project, of some kind here. So it is definitely a good moment to go for it. And the minor grand trine leads us to focus on this process of manifestation because everything is pointing at the earth element here. Now, Saturn, which is the only planet in a water sign, leads us to cutting off everything we don't need anymore, especially what's delusional, what's unattainable. And as we mentioned, he can count on Mars to achieve more realistic goals since Saturn rules this Mars, which is super strong. Mars in Capricorn, in fact, can be pictured as a sort of strategist ready to go for it. And on top of that, Saturn in Pisces sort of eases down the one-sidedness of this Mars because Mars in Capricorn is very strong, yes, but it can become a little bit merciless, I would say. So too strong, too martial, and so ruled by Saturn in Pisces, which tends to be more compassionate. It's always Saturn, guys, but you got the point. So this Mars is, especially with the sextile, is a little bit eased down by Saturn, its ruler. Now, Jupiter in turn rules Saturn and brings this project towards abundance, represented, of course, by Taurus. So as you can see, the earth element here is aiming at realizing down-to-earth projects, and we just need to be careful not to get carried away by this instinctual Plutonian forces and this impulsive Uranus that could be too hasty, I'd say. Now, concerning the soul, the new moon in Capricorn is part of the process that Jung called the individuation process. Simply put, this moon urges us not to be influenced by other people, not to focus much on them, to focus more on ourselves, to count more on ourselves, and to strive for self-determination. So Capricorn, as we know, is a very individualistic sign who sets its own goals, its own agenda, and it is not influenced by external circumstances. Now, in this sense, the trine with Uranus is all about this feeling of being free, right? So we can finally feel that we can break this limiting constraints. We can go for it. We can go with the flow, follow our own path. Now, Saturn in Pisces, as we know by previous videos, is all about disillusionment, but it can be also useful in this regard because, you know, sometimes we set ourselves these limits and they are more mental than actual, and this means that we can finally free ourselves from them. So this disillusionment process can be useful in this sense. Regarding the conjunction with Pluto instead, my opinion is that this is a sort of warning from the chart, and it is telling us that if we do not go for it, if we do not embrace this individuation process, then it could be our instincts, our shadow part to do it instead, to do it for us. What does it mean? It means that in that case, our shadow intervenes, reaching that level of freedom, yes, but with more dysfunctional behaviors. So this is an opportunity, but if we miss this opportunity, our shadow is not going to, if that makes sense. Jupiter in Taurus, on the other hand, from the soul perspective, gives a renewed sense of confidence, especially in our inner resources. I am talking about creativity. This is a Venus-ruled sign, and in this sense, we can really appreciate the mutual reception between Jupiter and Venus, and this mutual reception sends out quite nicely in the chart. And on top of that, the star Fomalhaut, which is in close conjunction with Saturn, has the nature of Venus as well. So it is very favorable for this more creative aspect. Now, in terms of the spiritual meanings of the chart, in astrosophy, the starry image of Sagittarius is associated with the spiritual hierarchy of the archai, that are the spirits of time. And for this reason, Sagittarius represents our personal relationship with the so-called zeitgeist, the spirit of time, and the possibility to be inspired by it, and then to embody these inspirations in a more practical projects through the forces of Capricorn, Earth sign, right? Which allows us to manifest them. And in this sense, the star Fomalhaut goes in that direction because the nature of the star is not only that of Venus, but also of Mercury. It has a very strong spiritual traits. In a modern sense, we could say that Fomalhaut has the nature of Neptune, and in fact, it confers idealism, spirituality, and being in conjunction with Saturn, Lord of the Syzygy, it refers us back to this individual responsibility to embody these inspirations of the spirit of time. And please note that Fomalhaut is not, strictly speaking, a benefic star, because although, yes, it brings spiritual elevation, but we know that sometimes this awakening process can be very, very challenging. So you don't want to mess with Fomalhaut. So lastly, we have a strong connection with the Archangel of the Moon here, Gabriel, since it is represented by the star, and as we mentioned, it oversees the winter season. As always, thanks for watching. If you want to support my work, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.